I'm about to introduce you to a very favourite entrepreneur of mine who was here just a moment ago, Tim Mckinnon, and he's going to tell us about his new project in New South Wales, the Revolution Metal Story, which is a gold story from the hinterland of Grafton. Some of the technical people working on this project are here tonight, and it's a private company, and you'll be hearing more about exciting plans. Please make welcome to the stage Tim Mckinnon.
Thank you, Julian, and a round of applause for Julian and that wonderful story. It'd be great to meet an astronaut and say, what was it like? Did you ask him that question? What was it like? Was he the guy in the orbit while the other two guys went down?
I asked him if the Earth looked round, and he said yes, but I don't think it saw me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to present something new for what I'm normally involved in. For a third of my working life, I've been promoting listed companies to investors in English and other languages through our media agency. And I recognise that, you know, promoting opportunities to investors is great. And basically, I thought I need to be able to get my own asset and take it to investors using our media distribution system. So that's good, but the resource that we found is even more exciting and validates that exercise. So Revolution Metals is a private company, and everybody has forward-looking statements at the start of their presentations. This is a bush track leading nowhere. No, we have forward-looking statements. Basically, we've got prospective exploration for 100,000 ounces of gold and greater. Initial pilot production of 2,500 ounces of gold. We have a second stage open pit of 62,000 tonnes of material for 5,100 ounces of gold. And we'd like to do some evaluation of some 2D anomalies or magnetic anomalies that we've found using modern 3D IP. And then, of course, a drilling program to validate those extended resources. And a return on investment for investors in under 24 months with a 2 to 3 development plan for a full JORC compliance of the remaining assets and a float. Now, our organisational genetics are ABNIR is a private company which has the asset. I'm project managing it, for want of a better term. And with me, I have Richard Harris, who's here tonight, doing our data mining and research. Richard's with the CSIRO, has been with the CSIRO for many years. And we have Vlad David, who helped us with our initial application to the department for a mining application for an exploration lease. And we have a couple of other important contributors to the information. Glenn Koyanis is a geologist who put together the drill data that you'll see in this presentation. And the 3D modelling, I've got to say, we had a lot of assistance from a company called leapfrog3d.com. Now, you'll see the modelling in the presentation, but it gives you a very good look at drill holes and grade shell modelling, and they were a terrific assistance. And I would also like to mention Dr. Peter Wallner. Now, Dr. Peter Wallner was a geologist with a company called the Little River Gold Company, who in the early 80s drilled this asset, and he's submitted 75 reports to the department, some of them 400 pages long, an incredible amount of data, but unfortunately the time and place wasn't good for Little River Company. They issued a prospectus in 1981 when the gold price was around $300, but they didn't attract the investment to take it to market. Now, the project location and size is basically outlined here. I'll do a flyover in a second, but we've got two assets that bear in mind Mount Remarkable and Pine Creek. They're a different kind of geological asset in terms of their gold, and we've taken 12 units, which is 36 square kilometres, in the mountain ranges between Glen Innes and Grafton. It's on the old Grafton Road, the little town of Dalmorton, which was a gold rush in the 1880s. Now, on the left-hand side there, you'll see the Demon Fault, which is quite famous. So as I said, 67 kilometres west of Grafton, 9 kilometres east of the Demon Fault, 36 square kilometres. We've got power to the site, 4 kilometres over the river. Now this was formerly National Park, and after the mining interests closed down in the early 80s, became a national park, and of course nobody can mine in a national park, and so you may ask the question, what are you doing in a national park? We discovered that the area that this gold deposit is in was rezoned as a state conservation area, which allows mining and exploration, but that information hadn't properly transferred across to general knowledge in terms of the mining and geological databases, so we're very lucky to be able to get this piece of land. The two properties I'm going to focus on are Pine Creek, 26,000 ounces, and Mount Remarkable, which estimated about 77,000 ounces prior to further evaluation of the resources. Now, of course, I've mentioned it's in New South Wales. The Dalmorton goldfield was a gold rush in the 1880s, and it's located in the top northeast of New South Wales. As an all-weather road that runs to this property, 67 kilometres west of Grafton. A third of it is a dirt road, but it is an all-weather road. And it is fairly rough terrain. It's not like you'll get prospectors up running around. It's very steep in a lot of areas. So the 36 square kilometres that we've taken as an exploration licence stretches around about 7 or 8 kilometres in length, but you'll see at the top there the Mount Remarkable, which we're very interested in because there's been no drilling on that and no work since 1941. And the second one is the Pine Creek lode, which is to the southeast there. Now if we go in and have a look at the Mount Remarkable deposit, which it should any second. Oh, you see the red spots there? That's a lode that I'll explain in a little while. So Dalmorton's about 700 metres tall. I'm sorry, the Mount Remarkable mine is 700 metres high and contains a hydrothermal quartz vein system. On the south side, we're very interested in Pine Creek. Now this is a chert ironstone formation, very different to the hydrothermal quartz veins in terms of the rock, but in terms of the spread of gold, it is related, we believe, and those red dots are drill holes. Now here is the rendition underneath of the drill holes that we've done and outlines that deposit. Now this chert ironstone formation runs for at least 3 kilometres, and only a very small part of this has been drilled, and the grade shells coming here with, and you can see it's cut off there. It's open to the south, to the northwest, and it's also open underneath. So Dalmorton, I'll just give you a little bit of history on Dalmorton. Dalmorton was an 1880s gold rush town, and today you can see there are a couple of abandoned sheds, but back in the 1800s there were 20,000 people living there, all artisanal miners working quartz veins, high-grade quartz veins. So the first gold was discovered in 1886, which caused the gold rush, and the last mining was in 1942 at the Mount Remarkable mine. The area had 80 to 100 reefs discovered, and there's an estimate for artisanal extraction of gold up to 8 tonnes, but the mining records show around about 2. From 1981 to 1986, the Little River Goldfields, with Dr. Peter Wallner as the chief geologist, did a lot of exploration in the area in combination with Getty Oil and their subsidiary Getty Minerals, and also BP Minerals. They were looking for a 1 million ounce plus deposit, and when it wasn't readily apparent, they pulled out of the JV. Following that, Tackle Resources in 2006 did a desktop study of the area and produced basically historical information in a concise form. We took the ELA in December 2012, which was just over a month ago. Now, this topographic map is a map that was constructed by Little River Goldfields from historical records. A lot of the mining records were burnt when the Dalmorton Mines Office burned down, so they were lost. So the records of these mines were taken from newspaper clippings. And so Dr. Wallner assembled as much information as he could by researching the newspaper clippings and articles of the time, and then walked the ground to locate those actual reefs. And you can see inside our ELA there are some areas of interest. The first one is Mount Remarkable. Mount Remarkable was discovered around about the 1900, and it was mined for a total of 6 years. The last 3 years being the most productive of the life of the mine, and the miners were recovering from 1/2 ounce to 1.5 ounces per tonne of material extracted. The second one is Mount Pool, where there's been a lot of early activity, but there's no record, and there's of the quality of the gold or the grade of the gold was coming out there, but there are a lot of workings in that area. There's been no drilling in that area, and those two properties weren't part of the Little River Gold's exploration activities. What was their target was the Pine Creek lode, and that was a chert, it still is a chert ironstone formation that runs for 3 kilometres through the centre of this ELA. What's interesting about it is that all these workings around here surround that chert ironstone formation. Now, Glenn's modelled this in some modelling software to give you the Pine Creek lode in grade shells, and we have an estimate there that's been redefined a number of times of approximately 232,000 tonnes running at 3 grams to the tonne. An open pit mine has been looked at for 62,000 tonnes that would yield 5,100 ounces of gold, and we're speaking to Pitt and Sherry mining consultants right now about an open pit design for that. There's the leapfrog grade models again, and you can see the rich gold in this chert ironstone formation, which is only 150 metres that was drilled, indicates the yellow's the gold. It's very rich at surface, going up to 10 grams to the tonne. So the first 10 metres has got a grade of about 10 grams to the tonne, and it's open at the bottom. We don't know what's down there, but they have defined 232,000 tonnes with an average grade of 3 grams to the tonne. Again, Leapfrog is modelling this data, and I've taken this directly from the drill data that Glenn Koyanis has done for us, which shows you the grade shells there for the gold. And Pine Creek were very interested in progressing this, digging this gold out, but they also had another very interesting way of generating funds from the gold in the area. Going back to Mount Remarkable, you can see the historic workings there over here. Now, it was mined between 1911 and 1941, and they departed for World War II and haven't been back since. And the richest part of that mine, I'll just interrupt there with Rayner was the government geologist who's given the estimate of 7,000 tonnes at 24 grams to the tonne, and reserves 138,000 tonnes that he's delineated with this square mark around the deposit, the potential ore zone that you can see in the presentation. Now, where they got most of the rich gold, up to 1.5 ounces a tonne, was in this area here in the low winds, and that's where they finished mining it. Now, the geologists will understand what a supergene zone is. This is where above the oxidising zone and a reducing zone and a water table, you'll have a metal ion transfer that carries gold down into a richer area of the deposit. So what has been put forward is that this supergene zone here is the area where the richest gold is found, close to the water table, and there is another mine on the other side of this mountain called Mount Remarkable North, and another one on the eastern side. So we believe there's considerable opportunity here. It hasn't been drilled. This is the historical information from the Department of Mines. There are only 6 references to this particular place in the annual reports between 1900 and 1967. And you can see there the 3 most productive years for that deposit were the last 3 years that they mined it. And that's just a overview again to show you in relation. What I'm particularly interested in, this is what we aim to prove. We know there's gold there, but what we'd like to be able to prove is there's a magnetic anomaly around this lower deposit here that hasn't been investigated. And geologists have said to us that they believe it could be a deep source for the gold. Now, the gold is disseminated through this ironstone, chert ironstone ridge here, but we can see all around this chert ironstone we have hydrothermal activity. Now, in the early days, they didn't have water pumps, so a lot of the gold mining for these artisanal miners finished at the water table, and they didn't go beneath the water table, where we believe there could be significant gold to be found. So we have a project. Our project objectives are to upgrade a pilot plant proposal that we discovered Richard discovered in the State Library for this ground by Little River Gold Company, to process the ore that is sitting in mullock heaps around a lot of these deposits. Now, don't forget, in the early days, grades needed to be quite high to process manually, and the recovery rate was quite low, around about 60%. So in the historical documentation, the cost to mine a tonne of ore was 8 grams. The cost to cart that tonne of ore was 8 grams of gold in that tonne. And the cost to process that tonne of ore was another 8 grams. So anything under about 25 grams of the tonne was deemed uneconomic and was piled in mullock heaps. So we've identified around about 8,000 tonnes of mullock heaps in the area that don't require a single hole in the ground to be able to begin processing. We've calculated that at around about 10 grams to be conservative, and we believe with the 200 days at 240 tonnes per day, we'll be able to process around about 2,500 ounces of gold. The next objective, of course, we'd like to do is do a full 3D on the area, especially along the Pine Creek lode, and enhance those anomalies that we know that are there. Following that, an RC drilling program of 10 holes, and hopefully conduct an IPO in 2014. So now we get to the piece in the presentation that's the financial piece, and it's often the piece that's most missing in presentations. But we've calculated a capex for this project, and that's for the extraction of 2,500 ounces of gold at 738,000, with 3 years of OPEX at 440,000 per year. It's only a small scale mine. We have the plan, we have the EIS that we've already gone through the department 30 years ago. We're going to reuse that information to be able to kick this project into operation. So our expenses for the 3 years is $2 million. From the gold production, we're looking at a spot today around about 1690, I think, 1680, which gives us 4.1 million in gross gold. And in terms of a commercial loan for 2.06 million, we thought that a gold sold at a 20% discount to spot would be an adequate compensation for that funding party, as well as return to them the principal. Now, I'd just like to digress for a second onto silver. Now, I was very influenced by Eric Sprott in New York in October, and started to understand that, you know, the possession of silver is something that's is becoming popular. And so everybody in Australia has seen the 50 cent, we're providing you a little bit dated, like I am, 50 cent, you've seen the round 50 cent piece. That contained 1/3 silver, and it was worth at 1966 on issue of 50 cents. And you can see up till today, we now have 31.50 in silver, and it could go to 50, which means we've got a $10.50 investment in that silver coin. And so I thought, I wonder what the coin collectors do with this information. I had a look on eBay, and you can buy 1/3 of an ounce of silver for $1.48, when it's actually worth $10.50 on eBay. They're looking at the value of the coin thinking, well, you know, 2009 numismatic books, they don't realise the value of the silver. And you have a silver pendant with a silver chain and a silver for $5.50, and we're talking probably half an ounce of silver there. So it's difficult for people to understand the appreciation of the metal, particularly when it's happening so quickly. So we thought, how do we harness this understanding, and how do we harness an investment model that has attraction for a retail investor? And we thought, what about a hybrid investment model? So we thought, what if we minted 2,400 troy-ounce gold coins? We went to the Perth Mint, which we have done, and we're not allowed to call them sovereigns. We have to call them a medallion or a coin. So they'll take out 2,400 ounces of gold from the project, and they will mint 99.99% pure gold 1 troy-ounce coins in our own design. So as an investment package, which would be a minimum unit of 2 coins, buy now, get them as they come from the mine, sort of like a streaming. So as we produce the gold, we transfer the gold to the mint, the mint prints the coins and we issue them. So we're willing to offer those 1 ounce gold coins at $1,000 each, which is a premium on the market value right now is $3,300, $3,380. And we believe by 2014, many analysts are saying gold will be $2,100 an ounce. So we could have $4,200 worth of gold for a $2,000 purchase. Then we thought, how do we actually get people on board the company to grow the company as retail investors? So we would offer for that $2,000, 8,000 shares at 25 cents each. So, so a minimum single unit of investment would be 2,000, which would give you 2 gold coins, 2 troy ounce gold coins in 2014, the tokens of which are on your table now. And the return for that investor could be as high as $6,200 if the gold price goes to $2,100. So there's the capex, 78,000. I took the opex back to 2 years, and the IPO, and this is we're talking about an IPO here in 2014, with the funds raised from this selling the gold coin units, investment units. So our bullion minting costs are $86,000. Which would yield us, our total cost would be $2.1 million. The funds from the sale of the troy ounce coins would amount to $2.4 million, giving us a cash surplus of around $294,000. So that's the end of the presentation, ladies and gentlemen. It's very quick, but I just wanted to get across what we're doing. And if you would like to become involved in this hybrid investment opportunity, please contact us. And the website is revolutionmetals.com, where we'll be updating that website on a regular basis. And also, I'd like to thank very much Leapfrog for the 3D modelling. I'd like to thank Vlad for his valuable advice so far, and Richard from the CSIRO. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Lovely, Tim.